Hey, it's Andrew Morgan, host of the Nomcast, the Netflix original movie podcast. Each week we preview and review the biggest Netflix original movies with special guests from the film industry, the music industry, comedians, and of course our fellow critics and podcasters. The Nomcast is available on nomcastpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts, on the socials at nomcastpod, and is a part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Hey there, I'm Mr. Black.
And I'm Mr. Green. And we're a couple of guys who met in a comic book store.
Together we host the Pint O' Comics podcast, where we invite listeners to join us to talk about movies, TV, comics, music, or just whatever.
Starting very soon, we'll be joining up with the fine folks at Forgotten Entertainment for a special limited series called On the QT, where we talk Tarantino.
Every week for 10 weeks, a guest will join us to chat about every Quentin Tarantino movie, from Reservoir Dogs to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So join us starting in May 2021.
On the QT is available wherever you download your podcasts and is part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Hello there. I'm Colleen.
I'm Anders.
And I'm Daniel.
We're three nerds who met through our love of science fiction and fantasy storytelling. Of course, one of our favorites is George Lucas's signature achievement, Star Wars.
And if there's one thing the internet definitely just never has enough of, it's nerds talking about Star Wars. So we are here with yet another Star Wars podcast, where every week we journey to a galaxy far, far away to examine the films of the Star Wars canon.
This week, we're taking a break from the films and looking at how Disney has expanded the Star Wars franchise since purchasing it back in 2012. So are you two ready to put on the Star Wars themed mouse ears?
Oh, I've got my Maul custom-made mouse ears all set.
You know, I actually really like the ones Ashley Eckstein had on Instagram the other day. She had Darth Vader ones, and they say "Rule the Galaxy" on the back.
Ooh,
so cute.
Okay.
And
really
I mean, "Rule the Galaxy" is basically what Disney does at this point.
Yeah.
So Disney,
not
we've
mad.
mentioned this before. Disney bought Star Wars and Lucasfilm for $4 billion back in 2012.
With a B.
With a B.
Oh
They
my
appointed
gosh.
Kathleen Kennedy, who herself was a co-founder of Amblin Entertainment, you know, the company that made E.T. along with Steven Spielberg. At the time, she was the co-chair of Lucasfilm with George Lucas, and then they appointed her president in October of 2012, and she's held that position ever since. Her current contract actually runs out in October 2021, so we'll see what she and Disney decide to do moving forward. She has been a slightly divisive figure among some Star Wars fans, some people who were not happy with the decisions that they made. And I think all three of us are on the train that sit down and shut up. The batting average is still pretty damn high.
So
Really, really high.
I understand the level-headed criticism that the sequel trilogy should have had a more cohesive story, you know, going throughout. That it seems like the production of that, they kind of, you know, weren't the best at writing on that. What I will not accept is the absolute disgusting ways that people have attacked her, and specifically because she is a woman, because like this, I don't think we would have gotten this level of sexism. Well, of course we wouldn't get, you guys know what I'm trying to say. The point is people are sexist and it's gross.
Yes.
Like there are legitimate criticisms to be had about the sequel trilogy, but also let's look at her past batting average as a producer and like working in Hollywood. Amazing. Yeah. And then if you just look outside the sequel trilogy movies, Rogue One, Solo, Rebels, Mandalorian.
Love it.
I mean, to me, I even just say, look outside Rise of Skywalker.
I mean, thank you. Thank you.
Basically, because Last Jedi and Force Awakens were good.
Yeah. It's just they didn't stick the landing. And you know what?
Is difficult when you're trying to do that.
Yeah. She also has helped set up, I don't know, a slew of shows to come. Like,
yep. We're going to get to that later. I mean, she set them up for success if she leaves. Silver platter, nationals, hello, how can you mess this up? I love her. I think she's a powerhouse woman in power, and she deflects everything. She's like, bad vibes, bye, whatever, bye, haters. I am not on Twitter, so I don't care. I think she's very brave to be in the position of being in control of Star Wars, which was technically a more male-based property. and male facing, and mostly guys watched it. Although I think they found out that women really love Star Wars and they embraced it. And that's why there are so many strong female characters coming up in the Kennedy era. Jyn Erso, Harrison Dula, Sabine Wren, Rey, so many amazing women. And then more development for Ahsoka is coming. So it's like we're living in a freaking treasure trove of Star Wars, and she helped give it to us. So I think we should be a little more grateful. Like you said, Daniel, criticisms, yes. The sequel trilogy, I think she was hoping that J.J. Abrams would be more of a Dave Filoni or a Jon Favreau and have just this cohesive idea of what he wanted to do. And it didn't turn out that way, which really stinks. And they were just trying to find their legs, I think. And having Filoni and Favreau there to be these kind of tentpole producers and creators and writers.
Who she
was
hired.
A really good call. Who she hired, yeah. I mean, she was in charge of bringing these people on board. So
she recognized the talent that they had and thought, let's continue to use this, or let's use this. So
exactly.
So moving into what Disney has done, obviously they made the sequel trilogy. If you haven't yet, go back, listen to our episodes on those 3 movies. Some ups and some downs, but I think we had a good time with those. They also started the anthology series, Rogue One and Solo. There were a slew of rumored films that people thought were like in various levels of production that kind of all seem to have gotten quote unquote scrapped post Solo. Now, a lot of that comes from things get scrapped all the time from between concept, writing, production, and release. Like a film can get scrapped or remade or reworked anytime along that. There was rumors of a Boba Fett film, an Obi-Wan Kenobi centric film, and now we are getting the Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi on Disney Plus as television series. So a lot of those ideas are probably still germinating around. They're just trying to determine the best way to move forward with them. But since the films are what we normally talk about, let's go ahead and move into some other things. TV. Colleen?
Yay! We're going to start out with my baby, Star Wars Rebels, my absolute favorite Star Wars property, with the classic family you choose in space storyline. Give me Firefly, give me The Expanse, but mostly give me Star Wars Rebels. Love it. This show was actually Disney's flagship foray into Star Wars, with the first episode airing on October 4th, 2014, helmed by Dave Filoni himself, who was also the creative force behind the Clone Wars TV show. Rebels follows a group of 6 people fighting against the Empire before A New Hope. We got the answer to if any Jedi survived Order 66. They did. Sorry, Yoda. And what might happen to a new Force-sensitive children who popped up in the galaxy. Nothing good, folks. Nothing good.
Yeah.
We also got to get Thrawn on screen and Canon for seasons 3 and 4. And my favorite iteration of the danger snack himself, Maul. Most of my favorite Star Wars characters are from Rebels. And if you're kind of looking for a deep dive into Rebels, Bohemian Geek Studies podcast is covering that right now, where you can listen to me and Anders, Sarah and Flo talk about whether Callus is hot or not.
Yeah.
He is hot. Daniel, don't say anything. Flo doesn't know anything.
Oh, man. So I just have to say about Rebels, I have to apologize, Rebels. I'm so sorry that I put you off for so long. At first, I just saw the artwork and I was like, oh, I'm not sure if I care for this art style. And people were trying to say online that it was too childish. And I just wrote it off for years. And then thankfully, so many people in my life told me you have to watch Rebels, Colleen yourself included. And I finally listened. And
I'm a pusher. I can't help it, guys.
I binged Rebels
so hard.
Like, so my roommate and I would sit and watch it together because we were just in a quarantine bubble to ourselves when the pandemic hit. And so we weren't living together at the time, but I would drive about 30 minutes to get to his house. And we would just sit there and watch hours of Rebels at a time. And he had to hold me during some moments towards the end. And because I was openly sobbing, I was completely drawn into this story. I have come to very much love the Ralph McQuarrie designed style of it. So Ralph McQuarrie, who did a lot of concept art for Star Wars.
Yeah.
And Rebels has become one of the most impactful things in Star Wars canon to me.
Yes.
Yes.
So if to anyone who is like still doubting if they should watch Rebels, oh my God, watch Rebels. Have you been listening to us?
Please stop everything and go watch Rebels.
Yeah, I'm okay if you pause right now and go watch Rebels and then come back.
I don't think anyone who I've suggested watch it has been disappointed. I've gotten a lot of angry messages and texts in season 4, which I will not apologize for.
Like, how dare you assault my emotions like this?
Yes.
But also, this is amazing.
Exactly.
Yes. Oh God, Rebels is so good. I'm always like, I tell myself, I think overall I like Rebels more than Clone Wars. But I don't know if I were to stack up like the top 4 seasons of Clone Wars against the 4 Rebel seasons, I don't know if Clone Wars might actually push itself over the edge.
I think Clone Wars might have a few higher highs. Like, some of those arcs are just phenomenal in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
But I think we got a much more consistent level of quality across Rebels.
That's
so
fair.
I think that's why I prefer Rebels, because I like the just focus on one group of characters and a continuous story.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I love Clone Wars, but bouncing around from the different like places and areas of the war, like, you can't always get the same emotional feeling across a season in an anthology as you can in Rebels. So
yeah, I also really like in Rebels, and again, we talk about this on BGS somewhat, but I love the way Rebels expands the lore, expands some of the Force lore.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they do it from the light side of the Force, or even like the neutral side. Like, a lot of the really cool stuff that we learn in Clone Wars is all centered around the dark side. You've got the Night Sisters and their magics and all this stuff that Palpy's been brewing.
Yeah.
But to see some of that and to see what the light side of the Force is fully capable of is just really, really cool.
Yeah. The concepts of the world between worlds is just mind blowing. I love it.
So as always, watch Rebels. It's not the only show that it's not the only animated show that Disney came out with, though, in those early years. Moving into Star Wars Resistance, what I refer to as the bastard stepchild of the Star Wars TV slate. It is another Dave Filoni product. Hey guys, I gotta say, one of the 2 most common questions I see on the internet about Star Wars, one of them is always, can I watch Rebels or can I watch Bad Batch or something without watching Clone Wars? That's one of the more common ones.
Yeah.
The other one is always, is Resistance worth it? Should I watch Resistance? I personally actually say yes.
I think it's cute.
This is another Dave Filoni series, a different animation style than Clone Wars and Rebels. Still looks really cool. The animation is actually, I think, pretty beautiful in this show.
Very anime style.
Yeah, much closer to like an anime, a little bit of like a 3D, 2D type thing going on. It's kind of hard to describe. The first season leads up to and then runs parallel to the events of Force Awakens. It follows Kazuda, or Kaz, as he gets recruited to gather intelligence for the Resistance on the Colossus station. Ultimately, it didn't get too enthusiastic a reaction from fans, and it only lasted 2 seasons. Critics seem to like it a lot. And I think if it had gotten a 3rd season, it really would have found its footing.
I agree.
As I watched it, it was kind of slow to get started. It definitely targets a younger audience with a lot of its humor. A little bit more slapstick going on. But I will say this, Dave Filoni, man knows how to do a season finale. The season 1 and season 2 finales are incredible episodes.
Oh God. Insane.
All right. I think I need to watch it.
And the characters are great.
Yeah. I do think
I think this, I'm glad I heard you mention this, Andrew. Sorry about that. I'm glad you mentioned about the animation, the different style it is, because I've only seen pictures of Resistance. I've never seen the animation in motion. And I think that is one of the biggest things that stopped me from watching Rebels, because I'd only seen pictures of it. I hadn't seen the animation in motion. And that is a huge thing to big difference. So I'm going to just give it a shot then.
Yay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And one thing I think it's kind of interesting to note, I'm curious about your guys' opinions on this. So Resistance is probably one of the two, I'll say, least successful Star Wars projects to come out of the Disney era, at least financially, right? It only lasted 2 seasons. The other one, again, financially, maybe not critically or whatever, is Solo. Didn't do too well at the box office in relation to what they needed it to. I mean, I'm pretty sure it still made a pretty big box office haul.
Yeah.
Might just not have covered the marketing budget. And those are it's the two projects that don't feature Force users at all. No Jedi, no Sith, no Guardians of the Wills, nothing.
That's tough. I mean, I think that a huge draw for Star Wars is the Force and the Force users.
It is, but I love the concept of exploring the galaxy even beyond that, or to not have that be front and center, you know?
The books do a better job of that, focusing on non-Force users. I wish that people would give Resistance and Solo more of a chance. Like, even if it's not a Jedi, if Luke Skywalker's not there.
Resistance has BB-8.
And Poe. Poe's there for a little while.
Poe's there for a little
bit. I didn't know that.
A little bit of Kylo.
Okay.
You get Hux's speech, which I'm all about. Hux's freaking terrifying speech.
I think it might be more of the context of the time and the way people were talking about Star Wars when these properties dropped, because Solo, came out in the summer after Last Jedi, when the internet was having a complete meltdown and war with itself over the pro and anti Last Jedi sides. And then when did Resistance drop?
15, 16?
Yeah, it was right around there.
To check.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder why that one. I think a lot of it has to do with the animation, though, just because I think people became very attached to the Clone Wars style of animation, and after Rebels, and then we get this style animation, I think people were just like, "Oh, come on, this is even more of a departure from it." So I think it might have to do more with the area around everything, because if we're going to talk about something that barely ever features Force users, we do need to talk about the Mandalorian.
There's a Force user front and center in that. He doesn't do too much yet, but he's there.
he's there, but he is not the focus. No, the focus is on almost an entirely forceless concept
world.
With a bounty hunter going through the darker side of the galaxy. We really see things not through the lens of a Jedi or a Sith. And I think that before anyone knew that we were going to get Baby Yoda in that, we all thought this was going to be a Mandalorian, just a Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And there was so much hype going into it, because that trailer gave nothing away about Baby Yoda.
No, and people were excited because Mandalorians, we want to know more.
Mandalorians, yeah. So, oh my gosh. I think this show just absolutely phenomenal. Pedro Pascal, hats off to you, sir. Acting through that helmet is amazing, even though I don't know if it's always you in there, but
that's even better. The consistency across the body acting is
excellent.
The consistency, the way that he is able to just, with a look in a helmet where you can't even see his face, you can convey meaning from it. Just very well done to the entire team. Like, it's been phenomenal, and the tech involved to bring this to life is just so cool. So they're using stagecraft, or the volume, which are these interesting stages where everything is surrounding them. So they might have some physical stuff in front of them, but behind them they're using game engine tech to render virtual backgrounds in real time and on the camera.
It's so cool.
The technology is amazing, because I didn't realize that before. I think maybe 3-4 episodes going in, someone had to tell me, no, those aren't actual backgrounds. The technology is so good for most of the time, I think it's real. So
absolutely. When I found out that they were not on location for half that stuff, I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's
just a lot of the reason why we could get it during COVID.
That's true.
That is a good point.
And actually, that technology, that tech is starting to expand. I was actually just listening to a podcast the other day from Netflix and the the creative team behind the show Dark. on Netflix. If anyone's ever watched that, mind trippy show, whatever. They've got a new one that they're starting about this like pan-European group of immigrants crossing the Atlantic. And the original plan was like, oh, we're going to film all around Europe and do all this stuff. But they are actually instead building one of these spacecraft boxes effectively to just do it all in one location.
Cool.
That's such a good idea. And at least it gives the actors like perspective.
Absolutely.
And they can act against it.
Oh, imagine if they had that during the prequels instead of the blue screen for Hayden and Natalie to act against.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
God, it would have been so much better. They would have been like, oh, here's an environment that we can actually see.
If only they had that for The Hobbit, so we wouldn't have had Ian McKellen cry.
All right. So speaking of the prequel era, Disney did bring in the first 5 seasons of the Clone Wars TV series into canon and ultimately gifted us with 2 more across another 2 different platforms. So seasons 1 through 5 were on TV. Season 6, which was branded The Lost Missions, these were originally planned to be in the original series. They even got like halfway through animating them, and then the show was canceled. So they finished those episodes and put them out as a Netflix exclusive. And then we got season 7 in 2020 as a Disney Plus exclusive, made up of 12 episodes, 3 major arcs: The Bad Batch, Ahsoka's journey after leaving the Jedi Temple, and the Siege of Mandalore. And oh my God, is that Siege of Mandalore some of the best Star Wars, best TV stuff that has ever been produced.
Yep.
Tears.
My favorite piece of fan art that I have, one of our mutual friends got for me, is the glass blowing out scene from
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh.
It is stunning. It's pretty much my favorite moment in Star Wars. Like, Siege
phenomenal.
of Mandalore. People always ask, what's your favorite arc in Clone Wars? I'm like, well, I can't say Siege of Mandalore because that's not fair to the other arcs.
I mean, it's not fair to the other arcs, but are the other arcs Siege of Mandalore? No, they're not.
No,
they're not. I do really like the season 6 arc, the Fives arc with the inhibitor chips. That was a really cool kind of like espionage type thing. And then Yoda's arc that was the end of season 6. So for a little while was the series finale where he is starting his journey towards Force Ghost immortality.
So I just have to plug this because I absolutely love to mention him at any time.
Oh no.
The Sith spirit that Yoda encounters originally, I believe it's Darth Bane in the episode, right?
Yes,
Mark
it is.
Yep. Originally, they were planning on it being Darth Revan, so have to shout out my boy.
All right.
One other thing that we need to mention real quick about Siege of Mandalore is that I love that they got Ray Park to come in and motion capture for Darth Maul.
Yes.
That fight scene was absolutely beautiful. It was so cool seeing them just render it from real people. So thank you to the amazing like jump in technology that they did for that season.
Yes. And then of course we also have of currently released material, The Bad Batch. At the time of this recording, we officially only have the first episode. If you want to hear our full reactions to that, go back and head to the Bohemian Geek Studies YouTube channel, where you will see us detailing and gushing over the Bad Batch premiere.
Oh, so good.
It was really good, y'all.
Ready for that entire season. Just drop it, please, but they won't.
Before we move on to our next segment, we'd like to take a moment to tell you about Baxter Blue. Do you experience digital eye strain staring at digital screens all the time and exposing yourself to too much blue light? Baxter Blue glasses are not your average frames. These blue light lenses filter 80% of the highest energy blue light, eliminating 99% of the glare. This past year, we've all been glued to our devices more than ever. So I need new glasses. I've been getting headaches from work staring at screens all day. Just had to take some Tylenol before this recording because it's rough. And luckily, Anders has been telling me about his blue light glasses. He told me how the headaches went away within a few days. So perfect timing because I'm going to have to get myself a pair.
Never going back.
Oh, thank goodness. Like, so glad you mentioned these. Our exposure to digital light has soared. Like, come on. We all see how much we use our phones and computers. And our eyes and our sleep are suffering as a result. Baxter Blue is also determined to be a force for good and provides a pair of reading glasses to someone in need for every pair sold, which is awesome. So this eyewear is built for our digital age, and Baxter Blue is giving our listeners 10% off your next purchase of blue light, sleep, or kids glasses. So click the link in our show notes for your exclusive discount. This is the sign you've been waiting for to invest in blue light glasses. We know you'll love your Baxters, and we know that you'll feel the difference.
We'd also like to tell you about our new partnership with Fiverr. Do you need a freelancer to help you with your website or WordPress site? Or maybe you need someone to help write expert articles and blogs for that website? Or maybe an expert presentation designer to help with that big work project? Look no further than the #1 freelance marketplace, Fiverr. You can find designers, programmers, and more within seconds, some for as low as $5 per gig. Fiverr is the ideal tool to help you with pressing projects. Just post your gig or search for freelancers and you're off. Don't deal with the hassle of finding freelancers by yourself. Let Fiverr help you. See the link in the show notes to get started. Please note, Yet Another Star Wars podcast is an affiliate partner of Fiverr. We may receive commissions on purchases and services you buy after you click the link. These commissions help support the growth of Yet Another Star Wars podcast, and we appreciate your continued support. All right, so the next we have Forces of Destiny. These are shorts designed to highlight the women of Star Wars. Adorable, fantastic.
Yeah. Yes.
5 stars, everything. I think my favorite one is when Han admits to Hera that the Ghost is a better ship than the Falcon. That is just all-time fantastic. Love it. Maz is also huge on that series.
Yeah,
she get a lot more Maz.
I really like the animation style that they went with that.
Yeah.
Same.
I love me some Sabine content.
Yes.
Couple of other like cross team ups that you might not have noticed or think that they ever happened before. Yeah, that Jyn crosses paths with some of our favorite characters at some point.
Ooh.
Another Sabine Leia team up, I think, is one.
Nice.
Ahsoka learning how to use her Shoto blade. Her second blade. They don't show her getting it, but they show her training with it with Yoda. It's really good. And I think the Padme and Ahsoka one where their dinner party is interrupted is also excellent.
Yeah. Check all those out, guys. They're on Disney Plus.
Yeah, very accessible. Just go watch all of it. Okay, next we're going to move into the books, the Canon books. There are currently over 60 published novels, including adult YA and short story collections.
It hasn't even been 10 years, and there are 60. There are over 60.
They are pushing content, which I'm very happy about. Not to mention the comics, too. Like, there are a crap ton of Canon comics that are out. So we're going to highlight some of our favorites and the most significant storylines. My favorites, now and forever, Timothy Zahn, my king, Thrawn. We get not one, folks, but two Canon Thrawn trilogies in. Oh, yes, give all of it. Timothy Zahn, just keep writing. He needs to teach George R.R. Martin how it's done. He is so prolific. It is insane. We get Thrawn in the Rebels era, in the original Canon trilogy. And then for the Ascendancy trilogy, we are getting prequel Thrawn. So young baby Thrawn before he joins the Empire. You get to see a little bit more idealistic Thrawn and kind of find out how Palpy recruits him. Those books, excellent. And shouts
they're
always
sitting on my shelf. I can't wait to finish
I'm
them.
like, Daniel's gonna get into it. It's gonna be so great. Yay.
I still need to start Greater Good.
Oh, I'm halfway through Greater Good. Excellent. Cannot recommend enough. So much chiss, like fighting and politicking.
Oh, nice.
I love it. They're such catty bitches. Those
my people.
Chiss. It's fantastic. Timothy's on. Yes. Oh, they're fantastic. There's a cantankerous rancher. There's a chiss cantankerous rancher. I cannot with Timothy's on. He's fantastic. Shouts always to second husband Eli Vanto also. I love him. Give us Eli Vanto live action, please. Always.
Could he show up? Could he show up on Ahsoka? Is he giving Thrawn some safe harbor?
He could. I think that there is a possibility that Eli could show up in Ahsoka just because he's in treason, and that's the last time we see him. But his ties to Thrawn are so strong. I would love if we got Arlani too. Like, if you're going to give us Eli, give us Arlani too, please, in Thrawn. I would love if Ahsoka found them and was like, wow, there's a lot of blue people. And they're all really stuck up military types. This is great. Next, this is actually one of my very favorite Star Wars books, Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. It may be the best Star Wars book ever written, guys. It's at the top of the canon books for sure. Like, there are a lot of Legends books that are also excellent, but this one is Romeo and Juliet in Star Wars. Aww. Amazing. Aww. Set during the original trilogy. Oh my God. Heart just beating out of my chest thinking about it. There have been rumors swirling that she's working on a sequel for this book. Please give it to us, Claudia Gray. But also give us Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan protecting Satine in a like Master and Apprentice sequel. Give it to us now, please.
Yeah, okay. They're going to give you the romance novel, Colleen. All right, I promise.
That's what we want. Give us the romance
I mean,
novel.
I would read a horny Obi-Wan Satine story. I would.
There's lots of
read
fanfic out there.
Is that what your newest one's about, Colleen?
No, that's from a different fandom.
Oh man.
So next up, I want to highlight one of the newest publishing initiatives from Star Wars, and that is the High Republic. Guys, this is an ambitious as fuck project. This is basically opening an entirely new time period up to some interconnected stories. It is a multimedia project. They always describe it as a multimedia project, but thus far we've only gotten books and some comics. So I don't know if the plan is to ultimately push this into TV and film and everything. The era it takes place, it's about 200 years before the events of the original trilogy. So it's really when the Republic is like at its peak. It is moving into the Outer Rim. One of the central tenets is this Starlight Beacon, this kind of station at the edge of the Outer Rim that is highlighting different cultures and serving as a new Jedi library for the area. And all this diplomatic station and all this stuff. There have been a few novels published so far, several comics as well. And they are just planning on churning them out for the next several years. Like every couple months, another one. Yeah. Young adult, kids books, full adult novels. They're also, it seems to be using the series to bring in some other Legends concepts. Things like battle meditation, where the Jedi are able to kind of use the Force to sync up themselves in battle. Or tie in some concepts that were introduced in Rise of Skywalker and kind of force them into actual canon, such as the Wayfinder. In this era, the Wayfinders are Jedi that are specialized at navigating, particularly hyperspace, and like finding routes through hyperspace using the Force. And so far, it's, I think, been a pretty undisputed success. These have been received very well by fans. They got a lot of new authors and a lot of returning authors coming to this series, and I really can't wait to see where they're going with it next.
I know. I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with this.
I loved Light of the Jedi, and I have Into the Dark sitting on my coffee table, so that needs to be started pretty soon. So I'm looking forward to seeing where they go.
Same. Speaking of comics, we're going to head into the other canon comics. Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith by Charles Soule. That is probably my favorite out of all the comics I've read so far that are canon. Please get it. The art is stunning. The story is great. It takes up immediately after Vader pops out of his little chrysalis and is like, I'm a beautiful butterfly. Except that he's a murderer and it just gets worse from there. But it's really well done and very beautifully done. We also have the Knights of Ren, which give us the really important details of, why the Knights of Ren are scary and why Kylo's with them and why he's their leader. Like, this is some stuff we didn't get with the movies that's actually really interesting to see how they came about. We also have the Son of Dathomir comics, which is about Maul's Clone Wars Season 6 proposed arc. So this is technically part of what the Clone Wars was supposed to be. It picks up after he is soundly defeated by Palpatine in the Clone Wars TV show when Savage Opress is killed. picks up immediately after there. You get witches. We get Mother Talzin. Everything about this arc is fantastic. And then also, what's up, Anders?
I was going back to Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith. Remind me, is that the one that has the panel that they think is people thought was Palpatine, revealing that he had created Anakin?
I think so.
Was that in Dark Lords of the Sith?
Yeah.
And I think it also
he has like visions. He has some Force visions.
And they are beautifully drawn.
And I think the latest edition, which just came out like maybe last week at this point.
The Vader comic, yeah.
Yeah, the Vader comic that actually shows Vader going to Exegol and discovering the construction of the Sith fleet and an explanation for how those ships are being powered, that Exegol actually has a ton of kyber.
Stop trying to make Rise of Skywalker happen. Just stop trying.
Maybe warn someone. You came back as a Force.
They are
I'm not going to go down that again.
They're bringing the Luke's hand thing into the equation, which I'm like, ooh, are we going to get Luke, the Luke clone from Legends? Because he's made from the hand by... There could be some wild shit that comes out of that. Just that one panel in one comic. Luke's hand just chilling there. Next for comics, we have Dr. Aphra. Amazing. Love her. Amoral Indiana Jones badass lady by Kieran Gillen. There's actually an audio production and script book that are out for her as well. And there are kind of rumblings that there might be a TV show or a movie coming up about her.
Neat.
Which I'd be here for completely. Going into even more powerful women in these books, we have the Padme trilogy and the book Ahsoka by E.K. Johnston and Bloodline by Claudia Gray, which is about Leia before the sequel trilogy. Queen's Hope is actually the upcoming third novel for the Padme trilogy, and that will be published in November of this year. It's like this publishing year is crazy, you guys. I look at the books that are coming out and like, wow.
Everyone managed to sit down during COVID and just churn some stuff out.
Yep, just write, except for George R.R. Martin, the only one that didn't write anything during COVID.
Okay,
finish the book, George.
Okay, I'm going off on a tangent here. My personal hope prediction for George R.R. Martin is that by the time he finishes Winds of Winter, he has enough content written that he basically just has to like do a final draft, and Dream of Spring is actually already done.
That would be amazing.
He's just got so much there.
It's 2,000 pages long.
But no, I really loved Bloodline. That features Leia at some of her absolute heights, not only in the political arena with her role as a senator, and some of the wheelings and dealings there. You see her at the sabacc table, just owning everyone around her because Han taught her how to play.
Hell yeah.
And you see her at her absolute most petty, where she ruins this woman's life because she got in her way.
Savage. She deserved it.
Queen.
One tough look for Leia in Bloodline is not telling her son about Darth Vader.
Yeah.
He has to find it out by she gets outed, basically.
She gets outed as
Vader's
this is
daughter.
the one where the galaxy finds out that she is in fact Vader's daughter.
And she hadn't spoken to her son about that. Lots of tough parenting looks from Organa Solo corner.
Yeah.
But it's still very good.
Still very, very good. And then another really great arc we have here is the Aftermath trilogy by Chuck Wendig. This was a really cool arc to cover. I remember when I first read about it, I hadn't even gotten into it yet. I was a little like taken aback because like most of us, you know, we think at the end of Return of the Jedi, we're under the impression, oh, everything's fine. Like the Empire's gone now because the Emperor's dead. We took out the Death Star. We took out that Superstar Destroyer. Everything's fine. And no,
it's not.
No, it is not.
It's really not.
There are several more months of the war. The power vacuum that was created by Palpatine and Vader's deaths has a lot of ambitious officers looking to fill it. The rebellion is morphing into the New Republic and trying to kind of find its footing in what to do. This series gets us some really great characters. I mean, this is where we get our intro to Admiral Ray Sloan, who will ultimately leave to presumably found the First Order in the unknown regions.
Mm-hmm.
We get Nora Wexley and her little budding romance with Wedge.
Oh, it's so cute.
We get our intro to Snap Wexley and one of my personal favorites, Mr. Bones, the rebuilt
Shouts
B1
to
battle
Mr.
droid
Bones.
with freaking samurai blades. And why don't we ever see him on screen? I'm just here for it.
We have been robbed of not seeing Mr. Bones on screen.
I hope for the day we see him in live action because he just sounds amazing.
Oh, he's so cool. He's like,
I'm glad they went down
deranged.
this. Yeah,
he's deranged, but he's got like the cool like red black paint. He's like
Yes.
he's a droid mall, Colleen. I mean, really.
Yes, he is. He looks amazing. He sounds amazing. He sings, he dances, he murders.
He puts himself back together.
I'm really glad they went down the story path that they did with the Aftermath trilogy because yes, they very much make you believe that like, oh, okay, it's all good at the end of the movie. But I remember when I like became like a teenager, like early 20s, I was like, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. There's still so much more Empire out there. And I'm glad that they really addressed it. And so yeah, that made me happy.
And it does ultimately lead up to that climactic battle of Jakku that ends the war to set up Force Awakens, where
So cool.
opening with Rey.
I do love too that Aftermath gives us a very prominent gay character. Like
Yes,
one
it
of the
does.
main characters, Singer. Amazing. He's
Rey is too,
gay.
isn't she? Rey Sloan.
Ray Sloan. She's kind of bi, or
Yeah.
I think she's bi, but she likes this one woman. Like, oh no, there's
Yeah.
gay people in Star Wars. Wendy actually got a lot of shit for this. And then Mark Hamill was like, Luke Skywalker would hate you anyway if you're gay bashing people in Star Wars.
I love
Oh,
Mark
man.
Hamill so much. He's
Yes.
just
Yes.
what a
Amazing.
treasure of a man.
So good, so good. Like
And
Luke
I mean-
Skywalker would have hated you in real life. Like,
Yeah.
yes.
And I mean, stepping a little bit of recommendations here, there's just so much good Star Wars books out there. Like, I can't let us get out of this without plugging Tarkin, New Dawn, Heir to the Jedi. We've mentioned Dark Disciple before.
Yes. Christy Golden. Sex, guys. Star
Horny
Wars has
book.
sex. Aftermath 2 is very sexy.
Ooh.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm.
Some
Jassy
rough
Mari is just out there being like, all right, I'm going to get with this commando guy. That seems cool.
Yep.
Yay.
But Daniel, you want to tell us about some of the canon video game stuff going on?
Yes. So Disney made a little bit of a poor decision when they acquired Star Wars. So for a very long time, LucasArts Game was the studio behind all Star Wars games. So they had a run from like the late 90s to I'd say like late 2000s that was just like shoving out video games, and they were getting hit after hit. Like fans were loving what we were getting. And then Disney shuts down the studio in 2013 to fan dismay, and they gave an exclusivity deal to EA, Electronic Arts. And I don't know how much you guys know about EA as a company, but it is known for its anti-consumer tendencies. Like it was for years voted one of the worst companies in America. So yeah, they weren't great. So fans were very unhappy when this happened. And because I think they had like a 10-year exclusivity deal. And so EA, for the longest time, put out almost nothing. We only got Star Wars Battlefront in 2015, which fans were upset because the Battlefront games were already a thing that had come out. Like this was a precedent, and there was like when people heard Battlefront, they knew what to expect, and there was no story in the first one, and it was almost all online, and there was a lot of pay to get certain characters and cosmetics and stuff, and so people were not happy.
No.
And then so they tried to make things a little bit better. In 2017, we got Battlefront 2. So they finally do give us a campaign. So it's our first canon story in the video games. And this was pretty great. You get to play as Iden Versio. So she is a elite stormtrooper. Yeah, so she plays a pivotal role in the final months of the war. So you actually start the game with her on Endor, and you see her experience the destruction of the Death Star. Like that's how they open the story, which I thought was really neat. And the story goes all the way from Endor into the Resistance era with the fight with the First Order.
Wow.
So you see how Iden plays into that story because she has a lot to do going forward. It was a pretty good story, but unfortunately this game was not without its controversy. So when it came out, the unlocking system for characters and weapons was such a grind that it would take people hundreds of hours to get popular characters like Darth Vader and things like that.
Wow.
And so there was a lot of people upset because if it had just been a long grind to get that, I think people would be fine. But they gave this pay to win system where you could just keep paying real money to unlock stuff, but it was gambling because you had no idea what you were going to get. Like you could pay all this money and you could get a bunch of characters, a bunch of rare stuff, or you could get the most common basic items. You had no idea. And so there was such controversy about this that several countries, including Belgium, defined it as gambling and had the system banned. So the in-game monetary system was removed in certain countries.
Don't mess with Belgium.
So this also resulted in the most downvoted comment in Reddit's history. EA came out to defend themselves about the practices, and this comment is sitting at 667,000 downvotes at this moment. So they really messed up on this.
Jesus Christ.
So
Look,
I want to make an
This is
execute
a
order
good
66 joke on that.
Oh my God, right?
Right? I
People
mean,
are like not downvoting anymore just to keep it there.
Yeah.
well, so they'll cut it off after a little bit, so it becomes frozen in time. So that comment is forever frozen at that, and good, because EA was really scummy and people were not happy about this. EA also did not give out any like single player stories because fans really wanted single player stories. We got these for years and years and years from LucasArts, and it gave us a lot of wonderful stories that people loved.
Surprising stories, like fun, interactive.
Yes. Fan favorite characters like Kyle Katarn, Starkiller, my boy Darth Revan, all came from video games. So people were really upset because EA said, well, nobody wants to play single player stories anymore. No, they just don't want to do single player stories where they can't monetize all of the online services. So we finally get in 2019, or is it 2020? I'm sorry on the date. I can't quite remember, but we got Jedi.
2019.
I think it was 2019, right?
It was like 2019.
Yeah, we got Jedi Fallen Order. So this was the first single player story that we got, official single player game. Like it is all story focused. You play as young Padawan Cal Kestis. So he is hiding from the Empire after Order 66. It's set 5 years after the end of the war. And he is hiding on a scrapping planet. So you start the game where he's working on dismantling old Republic Star Cruisers that he used to serve on. And you find a Jedi Star Cruiser at the very beginning, and you see him look at the symbol all sad, and it's a wonderful story. So you get thrust back into the action when Inquisitors find you after you use the Force on the planet, and so they come to hunt you down, and so you go on the run, and it is just a fun story across the galaxy. You're trying to beat the Inquisitors to a list of Force sensitive children. So it's a really fun, engaging story. And we get the second sister, who is my favorite Inquisitor. She is terrifying.
So scary.
She is so furious. Like, she's so fierce. Her theme music is on point. It's so good. It's such a fun time. And so this game was very well received. Like people really enjoyed the story. They responded to the characters, and it sold over 10 million copies. So it was the second best-selling video game of 2020 in the US.
Wow.
So everyone proved EA wrong. We want stories from Star Wars. We want single-player stories. Give us these video games. So
I'm absolutely not a gamer, but I definitely almost bought a system to play this.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah, I don't play game. I'm a terrible gamer. I'm not good at it, so I don't do it. I watched the cut scenes, like of the movie. They made a movie out of it, basically. Yeah. Did I cry? You're damn right I cried.
Right. There's some good stories. It's a good story. Like I really enjoyed it.
Master was a Lasat, you guys. A Lasat Jedi. I was like, I'm done. I can't watch anymore.
Yeah. His master is such a great character because you get to see some visions of the past to understand where Cal came from, the training he went through. And so, it was so well received that we have, thank you, Colleen, for sending me this info today. It looks like a second one is in the works. So thank goodness. Now we also got Star Wars Squadrons. So that was a canon story about competing fighter squadrons. So it takes place right at like the start of the New Republic, and you get some Imperial remnant. Yes. It's just a nice, like fun, like two competing squadrons. We also get appearances from old characters that we already know and love, like Ray Sloan and Hera Syndulla.
Yes.
So that is pretty awesome. And then I did just want to mention that we got some exciting news earlier this year in January of 2021. Lucasfilm Games was announced. So it is the spiritual successor to LucasArts Games. They are no longer being exclusive with EA. They are producing games now with Massive Entertainment, and I believe Ubisoft was the other studio. So these studios are known for big open world massive games, like where you can go explore, and they're partnering with them to make a single player game. So what the fans wanted, we want to go explore the universe. We want to see this galaxy. So I'm really excited because it looks like Disney is really working to correct the mistakes that happened with EA and move forward in the video games in a way that the fans want.
Right. One thing you can say about Disney is that they learn from their mistakes.
They do.
And they evolve from their mistakes. Sometimes they're a little slow in doing it, but they are attempting to get there.
Now, I just do want to mention one quick more thing. So there was a game that was in production when Disney acquired Star Wars called, at the time, it was called Star Wars 1313. That was the working title. People were so upset because we had seen demo footage. Yes. This was, the rumor is that it looks like you were going to be playing as a young Boba Fett. And it was called 1313 because that was the level of Coruscant that you were on. And so they showed us this opening part of the game where you're on a shuttle going down the lower lifts and it gets attacked, and so you're having to have like gunfights in the middle of a like falling shuttle and jump around. It looked phenomenal, and people were so upset because it just was everything people wanted out of a Star Wars video game. It looked so much fun. So I will forever mourn that we don't get that game.
Maybe we'll get some iteration of it at some point.
Maybe we will in the future, because guys, ultimately Disney is not stopping. They have so much stuff in at least announced stuff that is coming out in the next few years. So last year, 2020, at their big investor conference, they announced 11 upcoming Star Wars TV and film projects. We actually did a Bohemian Geek Studies video on this, so check it out for some like full details on that, but I'm just going to list them out right now. We are getting the Book of Boba Fett, Rangers of the New Republic, which is again probably another Mandalorian spinoff.
Yes.
We are getting the live action Ahsoka series with Rosario Dawson.
Yes.
We are getting Andor, the spy series, setting up during the rebellion.
One of my many Star Wars husbands.
Oh God, he's so beautiful. Sorry, Anders, continue.
We're getting Obi-Wan Kenobi.
More thirst, just for the fans.
Just for the fans. Ewan McGregor coming back, getting himself into Tatooine shape. Somehow never gets a tan on Tatooine, though. I don't understand that part.
Just ages him. Just ages his skin horribly.
And obviously, the other big announcement for that one is that Hayden Christensen is coming back as Anakin Vader in some capacity. We're not really sure.
Flo. We got you,
We're not really sure how that's going to go down, but it's going to happen.
Yes.
Visions, which is kind of an interesting offshoot project that is going to be all different creators, Japanese anime style stuff, but individual stories to, I think, basically explore whatever those creators want to do.
Yeah.
Going to be a Lando series. Again, not sure if this is Donald Glover or Billy D. Williams Lando. That was suspiciously left out of the announcement.
Why not both? Lando sandwich.
That would be so cool. Jump back and forth in time like that.
Yes.
We've got the Acolyte. Gonna probably be exploring some dark side stuff. This is the one I'm most pumped for. Won't lie. I love this.
Real
stuff.
quick, we do need to mention this could possibly be the very, very tail end of the High Republic.
Yes. That's
It
the,
absolutely
the
could.
rumor.
Yeah.
Very excited if we get Tenebris.
Oh my gosh. I'm
Baby Plagueis.
so ready. I'm so ready. Yeah, Anders, you're right. This is my most anticipated of the shows.
Yeah, because it's also the one that has the least connection to most of the stuff that we've done at this particular point in time. Obviously,
at this point,
if it does lead right into Sidious, then that's a pretty strong connection. But I love the idea that they're just gonna go out and explore new stories and new time periods that don't directly relate to the Skywalker saga. We're also getting a droid story. You know what? If you want to tie into this, if you want to tie into the Skywalker saga, give us some droids. Give us R2D2 and C3PO helping out this new droid, whatever it may be.
Yes, new droid, yay!
We are getting the Rogue Squadron movie from Patty Jenkins.
Oh,
yes. Possibly the greatest movie announcement video ever.
That
I think
was
it
so
basically
much fun.
is. Pretty much is epic. Like the filming of that is just perfection, and then she is a delight.
Yes,
so I'm ready for that movie.
Absolutely ready for it. There's going to be an untitled Taika Waititi movie, which, if you want to Thor Ragnarok up Star Wars for a little bit, I'm here for it.
If anyone could make Canto Bite work, it would be Taika Waititi.
Oh my god!
A Canto Bite. What We Do in the Shadows Jedi mockumentary.
Bring it,
just
Disney.
make it happen.
Yes, so this is my casino planet. It's pretty nice.
Yes, we will take that gladly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Despite some of that negative fan reaction from all of those haters that we can't stand, Rian Johnson is still officially developing his own Star Wars trilogy.
Yes.
My personal hope is that this is the Old
KOTOR?
Republic. Some KOTOR stuff going on. I don't know.
That could be amazing. I just think if you give him an entire trilogy to work on himself, cohesively, I think people will be a lot more pleasantly surprised than they think, because just look at Rian Johnson's other work.
Yes.
Exactly.
He's a fantastic storyteller. Just give him the reins and let him go.
There is also an untitled Kevin Feige project in the works some capacity.
There we go. We didn't know we wanted it, and yet here we are.
Exactly.
Love it.
And yeah, I am really interested to see if any of these projects or what future projects delve into the High Republic era. Because if that's where they really want to go with Star Wars, we've spent this whole time talking about all of these different Star Wars mediums, but the bread and butter is still those movies.
Yes.
Well, shoot, Rian Johnson's trilogy might be High Republic then.
I mean, we could do that too. I would not be mad.
Everybody
in those books is hot. So let's just do it. There's a very meta moment with the Jedi romance novels, these very sultry romance novels that are floating around. Because they're oh, the Jedi, they never have sex. It's a couple of the Jedi are we don't? Oh no. I didn't know that we weren't supposed to have sex. Thank you, Star Wars books, for giving us the hot details because we really needed that. Speaking of the novels, there are some upcoming ones that we are very excited about. We have Thrawn Greater Good just came out in April, the end of April. And then book 3 of the Ascendancy trilogy, which is Lesser Evil, matching very nicely with Greater Good, will be out in November of this year. Tizon writing up a storm. This is like he had an inspiration. Something was just clicking with him and he wrote this trilogy so quickly. Amazing. And then our next High Republic novel that we have coming out is called The Rising Storm, which, do we think this is going to be a Loden-centric story maybe?
Could be.
I mean, the storm also has to deal with the pirates.
With the Nile.
Yep, so that could also just be part of the title in there. I love figuring out titles, you guys. One of my favorite things.
No spoilers, but where they leave us in Light of the Jedi, I very much want to know what's coming next. So I am so excited for this.
That cliffhanger at the end of that book is insane. And that was written by Charles Soule, who is actually more of a Star Wars comic writer and more of a comic writer in general. And the new one, The Rising Storm, coming out is by Kevin Scott. And he's also predominantly a comic book author. So these guys are getting a chance to flex, like for an entire novel. They're used to doing mostly dialogue and a little bit of story work. They have to craft novels now. I'm like, get it, guys. Like, snap, get after it. I love it. I'm ready.
I thought Charles Soule did a great job.
Yes.
So I'm very excited that they're tapping these like non-traditional authors for it because they bring an interesting take to these stories. And I'm very excited.
So excited. And Justina Ireland has more coming out. Claudia Gray will have more coming out. Like, there's very exciting authors on the docket for High Republic.
Yes. All right, guys, I think that is where we are going to leave this discussion for today. So before we go, it is time for recommendations, where we give you some content recommendations for things you may like if you also enjoy Star Wars. And obviously today we are going into our favorite canon recommendations. So for me, I'll start us off. Star Wars Resistance, I say give it a shot. It's only 2 seasons. It's not that huge of a time commitment. The characters ultimately really grow on you. They do some really cool arcs, including they really flesh out what is, I think, a reference to Finn's arc, the idea of being a First Order soldier who starts to question what's going on around you.
Interesting.
And there are turtle people. There are turtle people.
I'm sorry, what?
There are turtle people.
Why did no one tell me this?
Turtles.
I would have watched sooner. How dare you keep this from me? I mean, side note, I saw a turtle today on the side of the road that was huge. It was probably a tortoise. I don't know. The point was, I love turtles. I love tortoises. People should have told me this sooner.
I'm sorry. Yes. There are turtle people. Please watch Resistance.
There are turtle people. They are like the caretakers of the ship.
Lovely.
And I mean, there's like hotshot racers are central.
Okay, fun.
Ace pilots. And then I do recommend checking out Forces Destiny, the shorts on Disney Plus. They are really, really interesting little stories. And then, because I actually just finished this book not too long ago, check out Tarkin if you are interested at all in how that sleazebag of a motherfucker got to where he is today and what he's like kind of fully behind the scenes. Check out the novel Tarkin.
And what a fantastic villain, because he is those weird fuckers
on Iriadu. He is, Daniel. He's he's very much like his people, though. The people who Iriadu are something is going on that fucking planet, you guys. Okay, mine are going to be books, of course, the Alphabet Squadron books by Alexander Freed. They just finished their run with book 3 this year called Victory's Price. Oh my God, you guys, they're gritty and they are emotionally messier than any other Star Wars books I've read. None of these people are perfect at all. Lots of random crap happens. It's amazing. They focus on an Imperial defector who is trying to survive at first in a New Republic prison camp. That's right, folks. New Republic prison camp for Imperials. She is then recruited by New Republic intelligence to stop a mysterious Imperial fighter group called Shadow Squadron. Hera Syndulla shows up as a viewpoint character at one point, and actually the game Squadrons takes place in between some of the books in Alphabet Squadron, so it fits in nicely with that kind of arc. I was really impressed with Freed's ability, though, to get me to care about new characters. Like, Wendig was really good at this. Freed was excellent at this. Going into the third book, our friend Matt Arrington, I told him, if this book makes me cry, I'm going to flip some tables, because I was so invested in these characters. I'm like,
how many tables did you flip? Die.
Only a few. It's fine. I was prepared to be heartbroken and furious through the entire book, and Freed did not pull any punches in this book. The ending is very bittersweet and very not Star Wars. It's very Star Wars in parts of it, but the ending, I was like, ooh, and it makes you think about Imperials versus New Republic versus Rebellion. Who's right? Who has the moral high ground? And at one point I was like,
I mean, obviously Kenobi does.
Well, yes, obviously. Moral and physical high ground.
Oh my gosh. Has. All right. I'm going to have to order these.
I'm so sorry, Daniel. No, I'm not. They're really good.
Oh no. I mean, like, I gotta plan how I'm gonna finish these, but
I know. I mean, there is an Imperial torture droid who is turned into a psychoanalyst.
Whoa.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy. The droid of the series is a torture droid, and he's a shrink now, and it's great. He's one of my favorite characters from the books. So yeah,
I would have to talk to the shrink robot about how traumatized I am about what it is.
Yes. Well, that's one of the issues, is that it's the Imperial defector Ira Kell is being forced to do these sessions with the psychoanalyst droid, and the whole time she's like, "You're a torture droid, though." I don't want to talk to you about this. It's really, really great. It's like the cost of war on regular people, like the soldiers and the pilots that you don't get. Yeah. There's not a force-sensitive character here. They're all normal people. So very good. Very good series. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Heck yeah. Well, I can't help but just plug Fallen Order one more time because, guys, I can't tell you how much I love this game. Like, it meant a lot to finally get that first-person story. It was wonderful that we got Canon. It has a great cast. So, the master figure that you have in the present time is Deborah Wilson from Mad Men, or not Mad Men. Mad TV, a very different show. Yeah, she was on Mad TV for about 7 seasons. Absolutely iconic on that show. So it was great seeing her. And then Cameron Monaghan, who was on Shameless, and he was on Gotham. So he is the one who voice acts and motion captures the main character, Cal Kestis.
Oh, I didn't know he actually did that stuff for that. I always knew that that the character looks just like him.
Yep. Yeah. They modeled the character after him. He did all of the motion capture, as well as Deborah Wilson motion captured her character. He did all of that. So they brought in a good cast for this to tell this story. And yeah, guys, like I can't stress enough how fun it is. Also,
very
if you play
iconic moments, very iconic moments.
If there's I didn't even talk about this. There is a beautiful, beautiful droid.
Yeah,
BD1 is the best little boy. He's up there on Star Wars droids who you love, and there's a moment where you feel threatened for his safety, and it was absolutely gut-wrenching. So if you want a droid who you will love to the ends of the earth, BD1's your guy.
He's like a fun-size Wally.
Yeah, and he just like sits on your back when you're not needing him. Like, he's a fun little backpack.
Now that I've remembered him,
yeah,
I will kill everyone.
I would burn the galaxy down to save him.
So would Cal, thank goodness.
Yeah, because Cal loves his droid.
As all good Jedi do. Love your droids, friends. All right. Well, I think that wraps us up for today on Disney Canon stuff. Thank you for joining us. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at YASWpod. Follow us wherever you're getting your podcasts. Check out all of our offerings in the Forgotten Entertainment family at forgottenentertainment.com. You can also find Anders and me on the Bohemian Geek Studies podcast, where we're currently diving into Star Wars Rebels. We actually just welcomed Daniel to do a little Bad Batch recap for Bohemian Geek Studies, adding a new title to our ranks. You can also find my Star Wars book reviews on bohemiangeekstudies.com, including a reading guide for our fave Blue Grand Admiral Thrawn, who will be becoming more prominent very soon. Tune in again next time for our yet another Star Wars podcast. Well, we'll be thinking of cringeworthy nicknames for each other while trying to save Jabba the Hutt's stinky punky muffin as we start our dive into the non-Skywalker films with 2008's The Clone Wars.
You don't love Snips?